ITV, certainly the best.
Nice to have you join us as always on the show TMI on the ITV network, and I'm Sonny Duke Okosun. In today's program, stay tuned and get a feel of all the exciting discussions and conversations that we'll be having just to kickstart your day and bring you to an expected end. It's important how you start off your day, as I always say on this program, and it's our business to ensure you start off your day on a bright note. That way, eventually, at the end of the day, you look back to how it started, and you'll be grateful to God. So much to talk about. I mean, the FAFT report, which of course delisted Nigeria from the grey list of money laundering countries in the world, is some cheering news that is being celebrated, particularly with the ruling government. And of course, we'll be talking along those lines in the course of the program. We'll also be having other conversations from our networks in Abuja and in Lagos. And of course, we've got Josh in our Lagos studio, as well as Joseph Kadri from Abuja Network studio, who will be joining us much later. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll get a conversation on course, and of course we'll begin with the newspaper review segment with our guest reviewer, Dr. Dan Ekarifo. Please stay with us on TMI on the ITV network. Don't go away.
ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.
Okay, it's a delight to know you're still there with us on the program TMI on the ITV network. Let's quickly head to Lagos, where my colleague is already on standby. Josh, it's a delight to have you on the show every Monday and every other day. What's up with Lagos? Have the rains eventually calmed down, or we're still having more rains? And what's up with Lagos today? I'm not sure Josh heard me. It looks like there's a network glitch there. Let's see if we can also link up with our Abuja Network Studio, where Joseph Kadri is also expected to join us. Yeah, Joseph, good to have you on the show. So what's up with Abuja today? The protest for hashtag Nnamdi Kanu release is something that is beginning to simmer down. But the aftermath is having ripple effects in the conversation structure of the country. Joseph. Okay, another a network glitch from Abuja Network Studio this lovely Monday morning. But let's quickly take another break. When we return, we'll be looking at what the papers are saying. Please stay tuned. All right, thanks again for staying with us on the program TMI on the ITV network. And just in time now for us to look at what the papers are saying this Monday morning. And we hope our guest reviewer will be able to join us in time to give more insights into what the papers are saying. We've got the Vanguard, we've got the Punch, we've got the Nation, we've got Guardian, we've got Nigerian Tribune, we've got This Day, and several others. So let's go right away into what our papers are saying this Monday morning. Okay, we have our first port of call, which is This Day, and it says on the big headline there, Adedeji, FRIS collected 22.59 trillion naira in 9 months for the 7.39 trillion naira in 2 years. It's talking about the revenue sector of the country. So much collections, and we really don't feel the impact of these collections in terms of life being more meaningful for the average Nigerians. But we've seen some very positive story there in terms of what has been done in the revenue sector of the country being led by Mr. Adedeji. Totals collected 22.59 trillion naira in 9 months, and of course 47.39 trillion naira in 2 years. I mean, I don't get this. You collected, in just 9 months, you collected 22.59 trillion naira, but in 2 years, you collected like twice that. Well, we've got to ask some questions there. I mean, we should get more within the 2-year duration rather than have just a double of that. But if you're familiar with the terrain of revenue collection, it's not as easy as you think. There are a lot of challenges in that sector. But all the same, we'll keep encouraging them to do more and do their best so we can have more money. The more money we have, the more we can actually fast track development. That's how it's supposed to be, ideally. I mean, idealistically speaking, that's how it's supposed to be. But you and I know that in this country, it looks like the more money that is available, the less of development that we see. All right? Anyway, let's leave This Day and move on to our next paper for review. Okay, we have the Nigerian Tribune, and it says Dangote Refinery aims to be world's largest in 3 years. That's a very, very bold ambition, and we need to continue to support and encourage Dangote, our own, and so we can blaze that trail and be a global player beyond what it is right now, and being a very dominant force in the oil and gas sector. If we can domesticate this production capacity, if we're able to look inward and deliver on this sector, I'm sure it will be the best thing that will happen to Nigeria and even Africa, especially with Nigeria, where refineries have been established over the years. They're not meeting any expectation. All plans, all expectations for these refineries to come on stream and meet local production, they've all ended in fiasco. And today, we don't even know what is happening to these refineries anymore. And all attention seems to be shifting towards Dangote. Yeah, there have been some concerns about the monopolistic tendencies of Dangote Refinery, but I'm sure if other Nigerians can have the creative ingenuity to follow suit, I'm sure today the country will have lots of refineries that will be able to really make things work. But there are those who feel that Dangote is what it is today, or what it is today, or what the company is today, largely because of government support, and that seems to be the reason why he's doing well. Well, for me, if that's the case, the ultimate thing is that we should look at it from the perspective of who benefits from it ultimately, the Nigerian people. Now, you look at what happened during the GSM boom, right? It disrupted the telephone sector and made it possible for Nigerians to make phone calls at the cheapest rate. I mean, at the time, you had some of the big majors who were charging at exorbitant prices, and here comes Globacom, disrupting the whole sector and making calls cheaper. And others, with time, they had to make adjustments to be in line with what Globacom brought on board. So we need to find a way to really encourage local businessmen and women, so they can make more impact in our community, employ more people, contribute to the GDP, and contribute to the economy. That way, the country can actually move forward. Okay, let's move on to, let's take a look at, there's a story there I saw on the Nigerian Tribune that I also wanted to highlight a while ago. I don't know if you saw that story. Yeah, okay, that's the story there. PDP convention, Southwest leaders zone secretary to Oyo, auditor to Ogun. All right, that's on the Nigerian Tribune. And you know, this convention has been a very topical issue in recent times with all the accusations and counter accusations, the back and forth, the allegations and counter allegations. It looks like things are coming in the right direction, and let's hope that turns out. And with these Southwest leaders, you know, stand of zoning secretary to Oyo, then perhaps looks likely that the presidential candidate of the PDP is most likely going to come from Oyo State, with Seyi Makinde being a major contender in that regard. Well, let's see how it pans out, because with politics, particularly in Nigeria, you never know what's going to happen next. All right, so we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how all of that pans out. So let's move on to our next paper for review on this segment of the show. We're talking about sports. Yeah, I can see Victor Osimhen there, the man of the moment, talismans, celebrating Nigerians who are doing very well, you know, in the sports circle. There is no way you can talk about Nigerians making inputs abroad without talking about this man, our very own Victor Osimhen. I'm still wondering till tomorrow why the big clubs didn't consider signing Victor Osimhen. You're talking about the likes of Real Madrid, you talk about the likes of Barcelona, or even Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City, or even Newcastle and several other big clubs, or even Chelsea. Interestingly, or even Liverpool. Interestingly, some of these clubs were actually in a very bad state in terms of their attacking formations. And I actually believe that Osimhen really would have done better than what some of their new signings are doing today. Take a look at Liverpool. They've been on a losing streak. It doesn't look like, you know, they are the defending champions of the Premiership. They've been on a losing streak, and it looks like that's going to continue. Even with the coming in of Isak, nothing seems to have changed. Isak seems to have lost his form, lost his direction, and lost everything. All right, Osimhen is on fire, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. But again, for me, it brings us to the issue of how, you know, the global community sees Nigerians and sees other African players in terms of their disposition to African players. Are you telling me that if Victor Osimhen were to be an Argentine or a Brazilian or an English player or an Italian player that is so gifted, so strong, so talented, so skillful, with so much energy, with so much ability and capacity on the field of play, these big clubs won't go for him? I very much doubt. But this is the reality of the world that we are in today. Anyways, that's the much we have for you on this segment of the show. We'll take a break and then we'll be back with our conversation. Please stay tuned.
ITV. ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.
Thanks again for rejoining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. And we'll just go straight to our discussion segment, which of course is going to be focusing on the recent delisting of Nigeria from the grey list of countries involved in money laundering. This has been hailed by government, especially at the federal level, as a major plus for the present administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in its fight against money laundering. And some are saying this perhaps is a result of the clampdown on Yahoo Boys, because we've seen all of the issues surrounding that. And joining me now is the head of Department of Mass Communication, University of Benin, an associate professor of mass communication, the erudite Dr. Dan Ekara. For Dr. Dan, it's a delight to have you join us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonny Duke. It's a pleasure always meeting with you.
Okay. Give me your background on the fight against corruption in Nigeria, looking at some of the key component parts of corruption, the key component parts of money laundering, and of course international fraud, which of course we generally call Yahoo, if you know what I mean.
Thank you very much. In my little knowledge of history about fraud in Nigeria, the one that easily comes to mind was in the late 90s or middle 90s, when the military government set up what they call the Failed Bank Tribunal over cases of insider abuse, where depositors could not have access to their money. You recall that before this time, we had over 100 banks, and people set up banks with the mind of, let me not use the word defrauding people, but a bank is set up within a short period, the bank goes down because the owners will end up taking the funds for their own use without recourse to the laid down rules. So the military set up a tribunal against failed bank in the middle 90s to address cases of fraud in the banking sector. Then came the NDICs to act as a buffer against such cases when banks failed. However, it was the return to democratic governance in 1999 when Obasanjo, having studied cases of free fraud like that of Fred Ajudua, who defrauded a Brazilian over huge amounts of dollars. EFCC was set up. Initially, people hailed that decision of the government for setting up EFCC, but it turned out to be a political witch hunt when it was used as an instrument to stop some persons from contesting for governorship or elected positions, especially those the government considered to be enemies of the state or not working in the interest of the ruling government. And subsequent government have used the EFCC to harass. Nevertheless, EFCC has also done well. In some of the cases, they prosecuted to the Supreme Court where individuals were sentenced and huge amount of money were recovered. But you recall that from the year 2015, we started noticing a trend in the Nigeria finance environment where young people who have no meaningful jobs doing started flaunting big cars, buying big houses, buying estate and all the rest. And concerns were growing about the rising cases of what you will call Yahoo among young people. I travel a lot. What you have seen, or what I have seen in the recent past, even in the remotest of villages, you see even mothers raising money to buy laptops for their children so that they can join the network of advanced fraudsters all over the place. So because of the growing rate of fraud, EFCC, in alliance with other international agencies, decided to do what you call proper tracking of fund transfer in Nigeria. And because of the number of arrests made and the level of prosecution that have been done, including some Chinese who came into Nigeria and they started doing all of this, some of them were deported after the court found them guilty, and they were asked to go back to their country for proper trial. The international agency felt Nigeria has taken concrete steps. But I do not think we have got it to that level. Maybe your subsequent question will address what we need to do. But this is my capsule history of frauds in Nigeria. I know in the 70s, we had the cases of Ade Bende down to the 80s who were involved in fraud. Fraud has always been part of us. If I even take you to the 60s, you recall that in the days of the Wild West, there were criminals, elements who were involved in fraud that had interest in politics too, especially in the then Midwest state. Yes, the then western part of Nigeria. I forgot the name of the young man who was involved in fraud. Fraud has always been part of our system, but the way it is today is like it has become a culture among our younger generation of young people who don't want to work, but they want to live the best of lives. I will rest it at this point for now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dan. Let's just look at what the story is about. It says a global money laundering watchdog has taken South Africa, Nigeria, Mozambique, and Burkina Faso off its grey list of countries subjected to increased monitoring. The Financial Action Task Force's FATF, a financial crimes watchdog based in France, on Friday said it was removing the 4 countries after successful on-site visits that showed positive progress in addressing shortcomings within agreed timeframes. The FATF maintains grey and black lists for countries it has identified as not meeting its standards. It considers grey list countries to be those with strategic deficiencies in their anti-money laundering regimes, but which are nonetheless working with the organization to address them. FATF President Elisa de Anda Madrazo called the removal of the 4 a positive story for the continent of Africa. South Africa is revamped its tools to detect money laundering and terrorist financing, as she said, while Nigeria created better coordination between agencies. Mozambique increased its financial intelligence sharing, and Burkina Faso improved its oversight of financial institutions. Nigeria and South Africa were added to the list in 2023, preceded by Mozambique in 2022 and Burkina Faso in 2021. Officials from the 4 countries, which will no longer be subject to increased monitoring by the organization, welcome the decision. Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said the delisting marked a major milestone in Nigeria's journey towards economic reform, institutional integrity, and global credibility, while the country's Financial Intelligence Unit separately said it had worked resolutely through a 19-point action plan to demonstrate its commitment to improvements. Edward Kesweta, Commissioner of the South African Revenue Service, also chaired the update but said removing the designation of grey listing is not a finish line, but a milestone on a long-term journey towards building a robust and resilient financial ecosystem. Leaders in Mozambique and Burkina Faso did not immediately comment on this. But Dr. Dan, let me come back to you. Mr. President by himself didn't rely on the comments from his aides, the special advisors that he has, about 3 or 4 of them. He personally responded to this, and that shows the attachment that the president has given to this particular latest development. But just like one of the, I think the South Africa commissioner said, this is not the finish line, but it shows something is working, which is something that you mentioned in your initial preamble. But what does this really mean for Nigeria? Because it means that the level of monitoring will be reduced. Isn't it something that those who are in the know, those who are in position of authority, can take advantage of leverage for their own maximum benefit in terms of money laundering?
No, when they say we have been removed from the A listing, it does not mean Nigeria will no longer be monitored. What it suggests is that we have put measures in place where money moves out of this country, such monies can easily be tracked. That is the meaning of the statement. It does not suggest Nigeria will no longer be monitored. What the initial fear was is that we do not have the right machineries in place to track money laundering and all such offenses. So with this current development, what the agency is saying is that Nigeria has laid the right background check, the right filters to dictate cases of financial fraud at the international level. That is the meaning of the statement. But like I said, what do we need to do? If you observe critically, when we talk about corruption in Nigeria, it's not a one-man's business. There are pockets of individuals who are involved in these lines of deals. So it is not enough to have the technology in place, but you can be rest assured that these technologies can also be manipulated by individuals to suit their purposes. That is the point of reference. So Nigeria has laid the right framework. The Fraud Intelligence Unit has a measure in place. EFCC has a measure in place. Tracking is also there. There are so many agencies involved in this. You call it a network. Until this network start addressing individuals, be they governors, senators, if it is a selective approach where only the poor, the middle class are the one tracked, we cannot get the best out of it. Even with all these things in place, you have cases of people, the recent confession of former NNPC staff who was involved in fraud running into millions of dollars in the US. Did these monies not pass through our system? That's the necessary question you will ask. We are smart people. Yahoo boys are people who think very well. Those who undermine Yahoo boys, thinking that they don't have knowledge, they are deceiving themselves. If you understand the way these things work, sometimes millions may not be moved once. They can have a network of 100 people who will transfer money to this one to do, and when you put it together, it's running to millions of dollars. Those are the things they should start looking at instead of a bulk transfer of millions of dollars once. Nigerians can recruit 100 people to engage in activities of this nature. Because the money may be, in your eyes, may be considered small, when it gets to the final destination, it will be running to millions of dollars. So the agencies need to put their eyes on the mark so that when you say set or go, you can lay hands on individuals who are involved in any form of financial infractions.
All right. What you make of the Financial Action Task Force is an organization based in France. We've always had these structures and systems in place, which in some circles is seen as the global South's, continuous, development of structures and strategies to control the rest of the world. And if you also interface with some of the people who are into these money laundering of the thing, especially maybe at the lower rung, maybe the Yahoo boys, they tell you that, look, this is also their opportunity to repatriate what was stolen from Africa in the years gone by. I don't know what you make on this, these two sides of the divide in this conversation.
I met a young man about 7 years ago. He came on campus. When I cited him, I said, I suspect you are into Yahoo, the way I'm looking at you. And he said to me, he said, please don't go there. I know he wants to start preaching for me. He said, Oyibo people stole our minerals, stole our monies. So those of us who are involved with Yahoo is a way of getting back the money. And I asked him a question: did they steal from your account, or they stole from your father? And I asked him a very target question. I said, assuming you have 10 million in your account and somebody hacks into your account and take the money you will be labored over the years working for. I said, how will you feel? He said, I will feel bad, but for the case of the Oyibo people, I don't have any regret doing that. That sends a message to me. I was wondering why the young man will have such orientation, and it was good to say it. It's just a reflection of the men who are involved in it. For them, they think what we go to from Nigerians is what they are bringing back. Some others will say our politicians who took money abroad and getting it back is a problem for them. Those of them who are involved in this is a way of getting back their money. But that is not a justification for taking a poor woman who has labored over the years and you take her retirement in the name of that you are asking for repatriation, or it's an indirect repatriation on your part. Dr. Sonny, if you travel to different parts of Nigeria, or you drive around the streets, you see what these young men are doing. In a way, they are sustaining our local economies. Let me say this jokingly, they are sustaining our local economies with the way they spend money, the type of ventures they engage in and all that. But be that as it may, there is no justification for it. The reality is that there is a serious need for a reorientation of the younger fellows. If you are in a classroom and you see your classmate, whatever they want to pay, he's ready to pay for you. You start asking yourself what he does. He recruits one, he recruits two. He is building a subculture within a culture. And before you know it, that culture becomes the lifestyle of everybody. Today, young people are not ready to learn a trade, not ready to engage in meaningful works. They are looking for quick money. And a society built on this type of foundation cannot survive. Your time, my time, we were told by our parents that hard work pays. But these young guys are telling you what is a hard work. You'd have been working for 10 years. What evidence have you to show for it? So they want the quick fix, where you do night training again and again in 6 months. You are making millions from fraud. So younger fellows are getting into this. I went to a mechanic workshop, and the apprentice was telling his boss that he's tired of the work. That his friend who is into Yahoo came back and he took them out. Say that night the guy spent about 2.4 million. See life. It's every day I will go under the car trying to lose the nut. At the end of the day, okay, guy will give me 2,000 naira. Is this how I'm going to continue? You see the type of orientation that young man is beginning to have. So he's having a spiral effect all over the place. Government needs to tighten the loose ends so that when we curb these excesses, we'll now start having a society where people will value hard work and we can return to our values that kept us as a people over the years. Thank you.
Fantastic. I just wanted to talk a bit more about the challenge of the influence of these Bretton Woods institutions, even in this whole conversation, the gamut of conversation on the fight against corruption, particularly with the policies and programs that they sell to leaders of underdeveloped and developing countries, which in a sense puts these economies down, makes life hard for these countries. And you just wonder, when are these countries going to come out of the debt they are into? When is their economy is going to be better? We just saw recently Paul Biya, over 90 years, winning an 8-term election, where there are younger people, more resilient, more governance-ready people who could have taken over that leadership position. I have no doubt in my mind the support that he's getting from France is actually, making him to perpetuate himself in power until maybe something happens, he sleeps up one day, he doesn't wake up, then he will realize what is probably he's done to himself. But we are seeing countries like Burkina Faso, where we have younger leadership, how things are changing so fast in terms of revenue, in terms of development, in terms of governance. What do you make of this, Dr. Dan?
In the first place, if you have a stable economy and a system that works for all, why do you need to ship your monies outside the shores of your country? What is the point taking your money to a bank in France when you can keep it in Nigeria here? The reason is that even those in leadership position are afraid of their shadows. But that is by the way. Those who don't understand the politics of international development continue to move resources out of this country. The French economy is serviced by monies from the the former colonies of France. Because in many of these countries, before they were granted independence, there is a clause that gave them independence that 60% of their foreign reserve will be saved in France. And they cannot enter into military agreement with other nations except France and all that. For the case of Paul Biya you mentioned, for the past 3 years, I've visited Cameroon consistently. And like my friends will tell me, even if we do election, Paul Biya will continue to win. We know that he is not the one that won the election, as they will say, but that the cabal around him are benefiting from the system. The only way they can continue to enrich themselves is to keep the old man who is senile now and probably suffering from dementia as president. What does he remember? Who does he know? But is Africa for you? So our leaders need to realize that even when they subscribe to some of these monitoring agencies, they are part of the control measures they are trying to put in place to stop African countries from coming to terms with the realities of the developed world. Like I said, how many Americans will put their money in Nigeria banks? Because they don't have faith in us. Why do we take our monies to their bank? And when our president needs loans, you will go to this country to take loans. That is to tell you, we are not forward-looking in our thinking. All former governors, whether current, who keep stashing our money abroad, you are helping those economies to grow. And when you need loans, you go back to those countries to ask for loans. It is what we don't understand about development. And sometimes I ask myself, what is wrong with the black man? Because of our way of thinking, our way of doing things. We don't like doing what is right. Everybody is concerned about lining their pockets, public institution, common good. We are not concerned about these things. And if we continue like this, you cannot build a society. By and large, the politics of international development rests on the unequal discussion between the haves and the have-not. So the haves will continue to dictate the pace. When France says, the agency in France says they are delisting Nigeria, you ask yourself, the money that people steal from Cameroon, Benin, where do they take it to? It's France. So they are ready to accept such monies, but at the same time, they will not tell their bank to block such monies from coming to their country. That is the unfortunate thing about the insincerity of these agencies when it comes to international regulations and monitoring.
All right, so we'll take a short break. We'll be back in just a moment to conclude this conversation on the delisting of Nigeria from the grey lists countries on the Financial Action Task Force list. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Please stay.
ITV, certainly the best. 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 ITV, certainly the best.
Many thanks again for rejoining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. We've been talking about Nigeria's delisting from the Financial Action Task Force FATF grey list, and President Tinubu, in a release issued by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, described the development as a major milestone in Nigeria's journey towards economic reform, institutional integrity, and global credibility. Dr. Dan, many thanks again for rejoining us as we begin to wind down on this conversation. This is a major plus for the government of the day, and they're not leaving anything to chance in celebrating it, in projecting it. But has it really answered all the questions about the issue of corruption, money laundering in Nigeria? We can't forget in a hurry how a former governor in Nigeria is alleged or is accused of stashing over 1 trillion naira in a foreign land. Recently, he was sentenced to death. That's historical in terms of the prosecution of corruption related issue in Nigeria. I'd like to get your final thoughts on this.
Well, it's not yet over because elements of corruption are still very much with us. If we must get this right, part of our challenge is that our values are broken down completely. We judge people on the basis of their material wealth, not on the character content of the individuals. And so there is a mad rush from both the young and old to acquire wealth, whether legally or illegally. That's where the challenge is. So a lot of reorientation need to be done from the family end to public institutions and all the rest. In doing that,
a bit of a network glitch there. We just hope that Dr. Dan can reconnect and conclude the conversation.
If all of us, yeah. I'm here.
Yeah, just go ahead. Go ahead. We've restored connection with you. Please go ahead.
Okay, I was saying that if all of us start doing reorientation from the family end, we may catch the younger generation right. Nevertheless, public institutions must do the needful by ensuring that proper monitoring of funds, right questions and asked. When the right questions are asked and suspicions are raised, such money should be flagged. It is not enough for us to celebrate the delisting. The institutions have done a good job to create this new image for us as a people, must continue to do their job well. Those in public institutions should not be stashing our money abroad. They should invest the money in this soil so that our economy will have a better traction. This is my take on this. Thank you very much.
Been there giving us insight into some of these very topical issues that Nigerians want to know and be well informed about. Thank you so much for your time with us. We truly appreciate this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonny. It's a pleasure always.
I've been talking with Dr. Dan Eharaifo, Associate Professor of Mass Communication. Is also the head of Mass Communication Department, University of Benin, giving us insight into the recent development as it relates to delisting Nigeria from the money laundering list, which is known as the grey list. Anyway, we're coming back to the studio. I have 4 beautiful people with me in the studio, and they'll be talking about not money laundering now. They'll be talking about breast cancer awareness. Of course, the rate of breast cancer and its impact on human health, it's really, really debilitating, and they'll be giving us insight into that. They are all medical students from Igbenedion University, Okada, Nigeria's premier private university. I'd like to welcome Kenechukwu, right? And then, of course, I have Treasure and Onyinye and Asiwaju. Thank you for coming on the program. I hope I got that correctly. Okay, so give us the background of this conversation. What is the action that you are taking to drive the message and drive the conversation on breast cancer awareness?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Duke, for that question. So
you need to project, talk more. I don't, because you're amongst ladies, your voice has gone. I mean, project, talk more.
okay,
Yeah.
Globally, October 1st to 31st is regarded as Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Okay.
So why this is very important, it has been stipulated by the World Health Organization that October is regarded as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Why? Because it's important that we enlighten the public on the dangers of breast cancer and also talk on the prevalence and incidence of this dangerous ailment. And because it's actually avoidable. It's an avoidable disease. But a lot of people do not know because lack of health education. And one of the major reasons why this month is regarded as Breast Cancer Awareness Month is to drive health education, to enlighten the public on the dangers, the prevalence, the incidence, the symptoms you can look out for, those things that are very important for you to check out in your body as a woman. As much as breast cancer is generally for women, but a percentage of men can go down with it. Like let's say like less than 1% of men can go down with breast cancer. But majorly, it's a woman disease. You understand? So we are here to enlighten the public, to tell the public that, okay, this month is regarded as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We are recognizing the people that are suffering from this disease and as well as enlightening them on how to avert this illness. And if you already have it, on how to help yourself.
Okay. Let me come to Inye. Where are you coming into this conversation? I mentioned it has to do with the predisposing factors responsible for breast cancer.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to go into what the concept of breast cancer is. And breast cancer essentially is a malignant tumor that grows in the breast cells. And malignant in the sense that it is abnormal, it grows uncontrollably, and then it can spread to other parts of the body through like the blood vessels or the lymphatic system. It majorly occurs in the ducts that transmit milk to the nipples or in the glands that do produce the milk, and rarely in the connective tissue and in the areolar tissues of the breast. And it can either be inherited genetically or it can be acquired through different forms like radiation therapy. And essentially, breast cancer has been recorded as one of the most prevalent forms of cancer in women. After WHO's research in 2022 that was published in February of 2025, it showed that there were over 2.3 million cases, diagnosed cases of breast cancer in women, and over 680,000 or thereabout deaths that occurred from those breast cancer cases globally. And it will show that if current trends prevail, if there are no, factors, or if there's no constant aid being put in place to combat this breast cancer, it could exponentially skyrocket to about 3.2 million diagnosed cases in 2050 with about 1.something million deaths in women. And then in Nigeria, it was also shown that there were about 32,000 cases reported in the year of 2025, with about 88 people being diagnosed daily with having breast cancer. So in this sense, breast cancer is not, as he mentioned, it is not a sign of death. Breast cancer is completely treatable. But the problem is that, especially in Nigeria and in other developing countries, there is a high rate of low detection. So essentially, if we're able to detect breast cancer at earlier stages, because most breast cancer cases get detected at stage 3 or stage 4, when treatment is just too late to be applied at that point. If there's any possible way we can apply, healthcare facilities or even offer aid to women so that there could be earlier detection, there will be a significant decrease in the rate of women that have breast cancer.
Fantastic, thank you, Inye. Let's come to you. What's your contribution to this conversation in terms of this awareness campaign?
Okay, thank you very much. So as my colleague Onye has said, breast cancer is not a death sentence. So there are people that are actually at risk of breast cancer. So some risk factors, I'm going to talk about them. Some risk factors for breast cancer include being a woman, number one.
Being a woman is a predisposing factor.
It is a predisposing factor for breast cancer because women have breasts and they are the ones who will be affected by this. So another risk factor is age. With increasing age, actually, incidence of breast cancer increases. So in older women, we see more cases of breast cancer than in younger women for good reason, because with age, things are changing in the body and stuff like that. There's also something called the BRCA gene or BRCA gene. So there's BRCA gene 1 and BRCA gene 2. People, women or men with mutation in these genes actually come down with are found to have come down with breast cancer. So about, let's say, 80% of people who have mutations in the BRCA1 and 2 genes will come down with breast cancer at age 80. So that's for the BRCA gene. Also, there's something called family history.
Okay.
So if a first-degree relative of a person has breast cancer, like a mother, daughter, sister, father has come down with breast cancer, there's a higher risk that, oh, that person also can come down with breast cancer. So symptoms of breast cancer are important to know because we are trying to, raise awareness about this disease and combat it. Let it be, seen at earlier stages so that it can be treated and it won't progress to a stage where it's basically turns into, a death sentence. So symptoms include, firstly, a lump in the breast. Detection of a lump in the breast, that's the earliest symptom, and that's the symptom that most people commonly see that take them to the hospital to go and investigate for breast cancer. Another symptom is pain. So breast pain is into two types, is classified into two types, cyclical and non-cyclical breast pain. So the one that we're concerned here with is non-cyclical breast pain, which means it's not related to the person's menstrual cycle. So a pain that comes and goes most likely is not breast cancer.
Okay.
But a pain that is there constantly is most likely related to breast cancer. Another symptom that should be looked out for is something called peau d'orange or orange peel appearance. That is a kind of dimpling in the appearance of the breast skin that is caused by retention of lymph fluid. And a complication of breast cancer, let me say, is seen in later stages of breast cancer. So another symptom is nipple changes. The breast has the areola and the nipple. So there can be changes in nipples, such as nipple retraction, dimpling of the nipple. There can also be presence of like rashes or scaling, anything noticed. So an important thing that people should do on their own before coming to the hospital it's called breast self-examination, where you just, go in front of the mirror and check your breast for lumps, for all these things I mentioned, scaling, dimpling, peau d'orange, and all that. So that's my contribution. Thank you very much.
Now, we've heard the purpose of this awareness. We've also talked about what breast cancer is about, and then, of course, the risk factors which you mentioned. So how do we solve it? Because I think one of you said breast cancer is not a death sentence. If it's detected early, I'm sure it can be managed. That's why it's often said that prevention is better than cure. So let's get to hear from you, Treasure.
Thank you very much. It's important to note that breast cancer is very treatable, it's very curable, and that is why we encourage early detection. We encourage observing the changes in your breast. Men, women, observe the changes in your breast, and so you're familiar with the normal of the breast. So when you see an abnormal, it's easy to identify it and report to a healthcare professional to get it checked. So breast cancer is very much curable. It's not a death sentence, and it is not fatal, especially if detected early. So it's important to go for regular screenings and to check your breasts very frequently.
Okay.
I'd also like to highlight some misconceptions, some myths, some things that are not true. We frequently hear about breast cancer, but they're not exactly true. One of that would be breast cancer. If you have it in your family, if the family history of breast cancer means you're going to have breast cancer. The risk is higher with family history, but it's not absolute. You're not going to get breast cancer because somebody in your family has breast cancer, but it's important to always check your breast for breast cancer. If you find a lump in your breast, it is not always cancerous, but it's important to get it checked. And it doesn't always present as a lump. It's usually commonly seen as a lump, but it's not always a lump. It could be changes in your nipples, it could be nipple discharge, changes in your areola, dimpling, skin around the breast, and other things. And breast cancer doesn't only occur in older women. That's a very common misconception. Young girls too, you're still at risk of breast cancer. So it's important to get familiar with your breast and frequently check for any changes in your breast. It is also common, people believe that a healthy lifestyle would prevent breast cancer, but that's also a misconception, as you can live a very healthy lifestyle and still be predisposed to breast cancer. All in all, it's important to check frequently using self-breast examination like I'm going to show shortly. It's important to check your breast and observe changes, get a mammography, and see your healthcare professional if you observe anything wrong around your breast areas.
Okay, I've heard a very robust contributions from all of you, but I haven't heard anything about how you can tackle breast cancer using vaccine, which is something that is very topical and has been part of the conversation. But there are criticisms about the use of vaccines, which some say there are structures and strategies to for birth control, and of course all of those stuff. I don't know if anybody wants to say something in that direction.
For vaccination,
yes.
One major misconception people have recently from the coronavirus era is that vaccination is dangerous, is conventionally say is the mark of the beast, 666, you understand? But as healthcare professionals, I mean, we are coming from a scientific aspect. For any disease that has a corresponding vaccination to prevent it, we cannot tell someone that this is not right. Vaccination is very important for diseases that have corresponding vaccinations, like cervical cancer, HPV, all this, and they should be vaccinated. So this is part of the awareness we're creating, to let the people know, okay, that for diseases that have corresponding vaccination prevention, you should have it.
Okay. Yes.
I would also like to say that this brings us back to what I was saying about breast cancer being very prevalent in developing countries.
Yeah.
That vaccine is not easily accessible, readily accessible to people in developing countries like.
And that's a challenge.
Yes.
Okay.
Hence why we put emphasis on early detection.
Okay.
If in the future we're praying that there will be easy accessibility to this vaccine all over the world, but as at the moment stands, that vaccine is not readily available in developing countries. So the steps we can take to mitigate the prevalence of breast cancer would be early detection.
All right, fantastic. Apart from this, is there any program of activity lined up for this week's observation of World Cancer Day?
Yes, okay. After this, not after this, but part of the program,
okay.
She's going to be illustrating breast self-examination.
Okay, so how are you going to do that? Okay, we have a video actually, right?
Yes.
We have a video we're going to show to you right now. That video will cap up this conversation before we link you to our Abuja Network studio, where Joseph is already on standby. Joseph, you should be interested in this conversation, so you just be on standby and watch this demonstration. Okay, but let's take a look at the video, and then of course you give us a background information on how we can prevent breast cancer, the steps to follow, and the actions to take. Let's go.
And use only fingertips to do the check. Look for the hidden lumps near the armpit. Press your nipple gently and check for unusual discharge.
Treasure. Okay, so let's see. Yeah.
When do you check? Do you carry out a self-breast examination? Like you said, self-breast examination. So you're carrying it out on yourself, as a man, as a woman, women especially, because the prevalence rate is higher in women. You carry it out days after your period, because during your period you tend to experience tenderness of the breast. You carry out your breast examination, preferably when you're taking a shower in the bathroom, when your skin is slippery. You make use of your fingertips and you move in a clockwise direction, and you move in a clockwise direction. You use your right hand to examine your left breast and you use your left hand to examine your right breast, and you move clockwise, and you're checking for any tough tissue, any hardening, you're checking for any skin changes, you're checking for lumps, you move into your armpit as well, and you feel for any lumps, any changes in that direction, because the breast extends somewhat into the armpit as well. And you raise your both hands up, you check the sizes of the breast, check the shape, do they look any different, is there any dimpling in the skin of the breast? And this should be done once a month. It's important to just have a specific date every month to check your breast, especially in women. And when you do this, you're familiar with what's normal in your breast, and it's very easy to observe when something is off with the breast and for you to see a healthcare professional.
Fantastic. We've been talking about breast cancer awareness, and the statistics are there, which makes it very, very disturbing and needs everybody's action for everyone to be involved. Even if you're a male or you're a female, we all have to be involved, because if you're a male, you are somebody's, you have a sister, you have a mother, you probably have a grandmother, you have an auntie, you have someone in that regard. And I think it was Shiwaju who said that one of the risk factors is that once you are a female, that's number one risk factor. And so that makes the conversation very, very serious, that needs everybody's attention, just to ensure that we get it right, and then of course we reduce the incidence of breast cancer. As it stands at the moment, there's also a feeling that perhaps it is more within the ambit of the African continent. Is that correct?
Yes.
So talk to us about that. Yeah.
Okay. By statistics, 60 to 80% of sub-Saharan African patients that present with breast cancer, they are already presenting at an advanced or metastatized stage. Because there are stages to breast cancer. When you're using the CMN stage, there's stage 1, stage 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, people that present in sub-Saharan setting, they always present, majorly 60 to 80% present when it's already cancerous, when it's already metastasized from the breast to other tissues. And why is it that way? One, poor health education. A lot of people don't know. If you don't tell them, how would they know? That is why we are doing this. So health education is very important. And aside that, in these parts of the health education, social stigma and cultural barriers. Now, stigma of people think that once you have a lump in your breast, you are going to get a mastectomy. That is completely cutting out the breast. No, it doesn't mean. A lot of people have that conception in their head. So they rather keep that lump to themselves and preserve their breast while dying inside. So when it's now bad, they don't have a choice than to present to the hospital. And then it's late. And that same breast they're trying to preserve will still be cut. You understand? So that's why we
could even lead to death. Yeah.
So that's why we need this health education to enlighten the public, to tell them, okay, these are the dangers of this. You presenting in the hospital on time doesn't mean that you're going to get the breast cut. And since breast, the organ we're talking of, is a cosmetic organ, a lot of women, I mean, if I'm a woman, I wouldn't like my breast to be cut. You understand? So it's understandable. But at the same time, it's very important to get yourself checked and to present on time. That's why we hammer on detection. And if you're comparing developing countries and underdeveloping countries like Nigeria, you come to find out that in developing countries, they have higher incidence, but in underdeveloping countries, there are higher mortality rates. Now, in developed countries, US and UK, there are higher incidence number of people. Why? Because the lifestyle there is suggestive. It also promotes this cancer. But here, aside lifestyle, we have low incidence and higher mortality. And that low incidence doesn't necessarily mean that they're low incidence, just as we don't know. They have not been checked. If you are going into public health, you talk about the iceberg phenomenon. The number of people that have been detected are less than the number of people that have this disease. Do you understand? So that is why we need to hammer on this. We need to enlighten the public that it's necessary to get yourself checked.
I've heard people say that, oh, they throw the thing, give me. No, I mean, we need African,
African setting.
Yes, yes.
That is part of the cultural belief and the whole things we talk about. Breast cancer is not a village people. I don't know how they do it, but your village person cannot give you breast cancer. Breast cancer is a biological disease. So this is part of a misconception we need to break down in our setting. Because you can, if you go to a village and tell them, okay, break down, they say, no, now my family member, I know the person with drum. But this is illiteracy, ignorance. If you don't enlighten them often, they won't know. They'll keep on believing that it's someone at the backyard that is doing them. Yeah. But they won't know it's that either the gene or the lifestyle or family history. Okay. You understand? That's why it's important. Health education is paramount. Okay.
I mean, you just talked something. You said something about the fact that in developed countries you have higher incidence. Yes. In underdeveloped and developing countries you have higher mortality rates. What is the major reason why we're having this disparity? Is it connected to the food we eat? Let me get your take on that one here.
It's actually the accessibility to healthcare.
Okay.
As Treasure mentioned, breast cancer is not limited to your hygiene, it's not limited to your diet. A perfectly healthy person can get breast cancer. You can just be existing and have breast cancer. So it doesn't really have much to do with you as a person. Sometimes there are idiopathic causes of breast cancer. At the end of the day, the reason why developed countries have lower mortality rates is because of the accessibility to healthcare. The fact that they can go to the hospital, detect it early, and receive treatment, non-surgical treatment. Okay. And we are not accessible to that in developing countries.
Okay. Let me just ask, we've seen that because of the aesthetic nature of breast, we have a lot of ladies who are doing breast implants, doing plastic surgery, and all of these things. What do you make of these, Asiwaju?
Hello, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
I feel like the breast implants that people get is actually a very good cosmetic, is of good cosmetic relevance, especially in breast cancer, where people have had mastectomies. So it's also part of, mastectomy means a removal of the breast after, let's say, breast cancer, for example. So it's also part of, he was mentioning stigma earlier. It's also a way to reduce the stigma that, oh, your breast has been cut off, but you can actually have an implant to be put in so that, outside it's not obvious that you've had your breast cut off. Okay. But if you're talking about whether implants are actually related to the
disease,
breast cancer, so I don't think we have much research on that. Okay. If implants are related to breast cancer, but how they are related to breast cancer is helping the cosmetic appearance of people who have actually had mastectomies.
Okay. Yeah. You want to add something to that?
I was going to add that there's no definite research that concludes breast implants are related to breast cancer. Alongside, people say deodorants, like your antiperspirants, they contribute to the formation of lumps, and there's no research that proves that. Okay.
So, on a final note, what's the first step to take when you notice these predisposing factors that we've highlighted so far? What's the first step to take?
The first step to take when you notice by detection is go to the hospital, meet a healthcare professional, and talk it out.
So don't try to put rub on it, or try to put...
Also, now you mentioned, people gravitate towards traditional medicine more than synthetic medicine. I mean, I'm speaking from, I'm a medical student. Okay. No, it's wrong. Okay. Many people want to go to their baba or their village, whatever, to go and get this drink abo that will cure breast cancer. Okay. And it keeps on progressing. So the first thing you do is go to the hospital.
Yes. And what?
And have them stage it, so you know what stage of the breast cancer it's at.
Okay. I think from this conversation, something that you guys highlighted, which is the fact that most times people try to get help at the advanced stage of breast cancer. At that time, it's practically impossible to a large extent to reverse the process. But if it is detected early, you can get remedy. That's the parting shot from this conversation. Thank you very much for your time with us on the program.
Thank you very much.
It's the TMI on the ITV network. We'll take a short break. When we return, I'm sure we'll be joining Abuja for the next set of conversation on the show. Don't go away.
ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.
Morning ITV bringing us to Abuja Network Center, where we shall be looking at the exit of service chiefs. You know, at the weekend there was change of guards, and this comes at the prerogative of the president. You know, the country needs to be secured, you know, on land, air, and of course on our waterways. And what we have seen is something that we can only wish those that are on the saddle now to look at what we have at the south-south, the ongoing oil bunkering, of course at the north-central, where we talk about increase in kidnapping and banditry. At the northeast, you know, insurgency is still neck deep in that axis. Even at the weekend, we saw what happened where the governor, Professor Zulum, is calling for some kind of increase in security deployment to ensure that the state is you know, secured. So we look at this through the eyes of our guest, who of course will be joining us virtually. He's already available on Zoom link, and of course he's also a political analyst, a chieftain of one of the political parties, Honorable Abba Haruna Ibrahim. Very good morning to you.
Admissions.
ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.
If you're just tuning in, it's your premium news current affair reaching you live from our Lagos Center on the ITV network. I am Joshua Okata, and of course, as always, I have my co-anchor in the person of Patricia Gabriel. Pat.
Hi Josh, thank you for joining us on ITV and on TMI on a Monday morning. It's a beautiful morning here in Lagos.
All right, for us to the ball rolling on the program this morning, our focus would be on the creation of states with respect to the move by certain members within National, of course, Assembly, legislating for the approval of additional states within the southeastern region. One of the questions are what in Bahu and of course the 5 state factors, constitutionally speaking, that would be required for an additional state, and what are the importance this would serve for the new states that will be coming on board if this legislation is approved, and of course at large the 5 eastern region. These and many more would form the basis of our roundtable discussion this morning, and of course we're being joined by our guest in the person of Ziggy Ibe, who is a political affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Ziggy, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Ziggy.
Thank you, Patricia, for having me.
All right, now let's get the ball rolling. The conversation around state creation has been on for a while, and this is not the first time we're seeing some senatorial, individuals. I'm talking about senators from different regions, both in the National Assembly and of course the Assembly for creation of the 6th geopolitical zone. Just recently, we had a senator from the Red Chambers in the person of Senator Ned Nwoko, who was pushing for the creation of a state, within Delta State, and looking at Anioma in particular was a state he was pushing for a new creation. Now we're seeing some senators who are also legislating for a creation of new state within the southeastern region. What's your take as regards the reason behind all of this move? Is there something at stake?
Thank you so much. The creation of new states doesn't excite me, just like it doesn't to so many. Yes, if you did that, you are balancing the record on the table, which is the southeast 6 states to speak, so that it could equate or equal to other regions. But what comes to my mind is the edges. What do we get when states are created? The existing ones, are they viable? Because it is not all about creating a state. it doesn't excite me. What excites me is the derivables, the dividends of democracy to the people, because when the state is created, a caliphate is created and people live there. So enjoy it. Our wisdoms are still existing for individuals and drafted to the face of things.
You mean those who are legislating for it will be drafted to go man those
No, not necessarily, but the politicians within the corridors of power certainly will become the governor, they become the House of Assemblies, they become the reps.
Same people.
Same people.
Same
people.
So are we saying
and when they come in,
region?
I didn't say so. I've said it. One reason is to balance the record on the table. That's one reason, which everybody clamors for. But I am bothered, personally, that I hope the reason for which these states are created will be given to the people, because the primary need of every individual that will fall under these states is to get governance closer to the people. So, and if these people are not getting the necessary or the required needs from the government, then the failure is here. I'm not seeing it a failure from the morning. I am not. But I am looking at, I hope it's not going to be job created for the boys again. Okay, because Southeastern region is 5 states as we speak, making it the least region in the federation, right? Now, when additional one is created, you are having 6, equating to others. But other ones are still asking for more, meaning that when most are created, when other states are created in other regions, Southeast still remains the least.
Yeah.
So where do we go from there? So the issue now is, when a state is created or more states are created, what we need is to have the viability of the environment, because it is about leadership, not about creating a state. If you put in a leader who doesn't know his onions, then you are in trouble. Why is Marwa today leading in so many of the things he has done in Lagos? When he came, he found out that commutation in Lagos is in deficit. He created Marwa because access roads were not accessible. Some other places that are commutable are no longer commutable. So what he did was to think out of the box and created Marwa, brought in three-wheeler that could access hinterlands. Today, that leadership trajectory had outlived him. So these are the kind of leaders we want that will actually bring it, because whether you like it or not, when a new state is created, there are certain problems. That state will certainly pass through a lot of challenges. Here is new, there is new, and every other.
So we're going to look at those challenges.
Yes, we'll look at the challenges.
Yeah.
Mr. Ziggy, thank you so much. You have just said that when a new state is created, it's expected that, they get to the people, not for the boys. Yes. Okay, so I am of the opinion that why is the state being created now? What has changed to give momentum to this push? Why did they decide to want to create the state now?
Look, whether you like it or not, it's political. Yes, it's political. In as much as the region wants it, it's political. And don't forget, whether you like it or not, it's still the job for the boys. Oh, yes. Because you are not going to have spirits who will become governors. You are not going to have spirits who will become house reps. You are not going to have spirits who will become local government chairman. Okay? But I am worried, and I've stated that earlier. My worry isn't about creation of states. It's just like you are creating more trouble, solving a problem.
Okay, now let's talk about solving the problem, because already you've analyzed this issue of you're not being too passionate about the issue of creation of state. Now, where the issue comes in is our scarce resources. Already Nigerians across board are worried because the scarce resources we have is not even enough to get to
for the existing states.
For the existing states. Now we're talking about the creation of a new state, which I'm very sure the conversation about creation of other states within the 6 geopolitical region is still on. Now, are we going to be looking at a situation if a new state comes on board to make it 6 to the southeastern region? Are we going to be having a situation of, overstretching the scarce resources that we have to cater to the existing states that we have to now be sharing with the southeast? Is that what we're going to be having?
Of course, yes. If a new state is carved out of an existing state, the monthly allocations will be trickled because the existing state will not have so much as it used to have because the new state has to share from it. The government at the center is burdened financially. So at this point, if, for instance, 1 billion naira is earmarked for the monthly allocations of a particular state, and the state is carved out of it, certainly 3 factors or 4 factors are what determines what states gets. You talk about landmarks, you talk about population, you talk about the IGR of the internally generated revenue of that very particular state, and some other factors. Now, the new state, a starting state, a baby state, certainly wouldn't be talking about IGR, okay, because it has not existed before. So, any other thing, it has to be helped in order to start off. So, to jumpstart a new state into doing some other things, it is a burden from the center.
Okay, now
then the new state, the existing state, will now have the resources it had earlier divided to be shared by the new state, because the new state will be created out of maybe either 1 or 2 states. Then the local governments too. So individuals involved in all this will certainly create the sharing formula will be created.
Okay, that brings me to this question, since you say to be created from maybe 1 or 2 states. And do you think the affected communities are carried along, or are they in support of this new creation? Or you think it's just, like you said, political, they're just doing their thing?
In legislating this, they will tell you they want to have town hall meetings to actually get the minds of the people, how they feel about it. Yes, you are talking about high thinking now. It's going to be a critical thinking, a forward thinking that would actually tell you the state you are creating. People will be excited ordinarily because they are going to have new, new positions will be created. People will get more jobs and other. But there's more to it. The more to it here is that the people that are involved in manning the affairs that will be available in the new states will have little or nothing to get for the rest of the years that will form this their teaching problem. Okay? Because if money comes in, the people that are going to mind, they are not spirits. It is these self-same politicians who are highly corrupt that will take it up. And the money given out might be shared, might be edited, even before it gets to people that needed this. So, like I told you, the excitement here isn't about creating new states for me. It is about, will the purpose for which this new creation is made, will it be achieved?
Okay, so now, what do you think could be done, especially with the challenges of creating a new state? Like you said, one of those issues you talked about in terms of the factors that could warrant, the sharing of the FAC accounts that usually come on a monthly basis is on the basis of the landmass,
population,
of course, the population size, and the internal revenue.
Yeah.
You would agree with me that there are some states within, the federation that only exist by means of being on paper in terms of revenue generation.
Yes.
Yet, what is the likelihood that some states that do not have much revenue but have that population will not be kind of struggling with states that are also generating so much and want that same allocation to get to them for the purpose of proper representation?
You look, even as we speak, the viability of so many states are in doubt. Okay, and if you created a new state from those states that are not real viable, then you are creating more problems for those existing states and the new ones. Because government can only give what is available to it.
So are you saying that there won't be an agitation? Let's take, for instance, some southeastern region attacked Niger Delta because they generate oil within that state. Are you saying that there won't be some sort of agitation, sharing resources with some states that do not even generate up to 10% of what they get?
That shouldn't be looked at, because as we speak, no state is carrying other states along.
Because that's the
what
issue.
what they do is that when you generate, you take it to the center shares. Okay? And center is
that's what I'm saying, because we're talking about marginalization.
Yeah, whether cheated or not, the issue remains that you definitely will get what you deserve. So it's not going to be shared on the basis of you are newly created. I don't think so.
Okay.
It's not going to be shared because you are newly created.
No, but
these 3 or 4 factors will certainly come in. It's a two to share. So the issue remains that they will look at your population, they look at your land mass, and other factors. So after it, they come up with what is due for you.
Okay, now let's talk about what goes into play, especially when issue of a new state creation is up on the game. Now we're looking at the participation in terms of the block of votes required from the National Assembly and the State Assembly. What's the vote like in terms of the numbers that is required to push for this to be approved?
Look, so far,
yes,
the voices are high for the new creation. Everybody had lamented the paucity of states in the southeast region, meaning that they wanted it equal, so that the share equal to that happens in the southern region.
So how much are we expecting to get from the National Assembly in terms of the votes and that of the State Assembly?
Certainly we'll have a high vote from the National Assembly. And when a referendum is conducted, certainly it will be 18.
Okay. It's gonna be so are we looking at a situation of a 2/3, as a case may be, from the House of this
Certainly yes.
And that of the State Assembly?
Yes, certainly yes.
Okay.
It will be a win-win thing.
Okay.
Everybody had accepted it, and everybody agitated for it. And which I am saying that the agitation is right, creation is right, the nod is equally right. But do we look at the disadvantages that will certainly occur? And so many had said, just like on program yesterday I was on, and somebody said, look, let it come first. And that has always been the problem we have. We don't look at the issues.
If I can ask you, what are the disadvantages you are looking at?
The disadvantage is that the people will not get what they want for a long period of time. They will not. Because the government at the center will not share in favor of a new state. They will share based on what is available to the new created states. And they will still bring in the factors. There's indices. So fact sharing is not going to favor because it's a new state. I don't think so.
So when it comes to the issue of creating a new state, now it's no longer going to be for proper representation. It's going to be based on the limited resources.
Yes.
Okay, so can those who would preside over that new state, I'm talking about the governors, the house of the chairman, the local government councils and all that, can they begin to start looking inward as to how much revenue they can generate?
Yes, that
having to rely.
Good. That will take a little time. That will take a little time. If you have leaders who are fast or forward thinking, it takes a critical thinker to actually bring up what the state, the new is a baby, is a new baby, so it needs care.
Let's take Anioma State, for example.
Good.
Because that's the one I know that Ned Nwoko is pushing. And
they are pushing for other states too, from Enugu State.
Okay, so like you said, if we had Anioma State, the Southeast would be 6. just like every other. Why are they now pushing for more other states? Because they will still...
Even as we speak, from the National Assembly, they've pushed for more 5 states, including is it approved now? The 1 state from the southeast. But you see, the southeast has been in the front burner for a long time because that region had not got a state. But the viability, we don't think of the viability of that state, of existing states, because the states are not viable. Most times, at the end of every month, all the state governors go to Abuja, cap in hand, to collect what is due for them. And they don't do any other thing again until the next month.
Next month, yeah.
So is that the same? That's the same thing the new state is going to be grappling with. So you see the challenges. So now the new state is not coming from somebody from nowhere. Yes, he knows the game already, but he is going to suffer more because what is existed in the other states will still be the same thing that will be having. So at the end of the day, a week or he has shared who are close to him, and that is the end until the next month. Then he goes cap in hand again to Abuja. But you see, what matters here is, do we have forward-thinking leaders who actually look inward? No state in Nigeria is not viable if actually the governors want to really work. No state. No state. Take it. In fact, in Enugu, my state, it happened about, I think, during Sullivan, a new commission was created. And that commission made so much amount of money. I wouldn't call it name.
But what area? What
commission was created?
Within the state. Within the state.
Yes. If you want to let us know.
Okay, I think it's called access or something. They were saddled with sanitation something or something.
Okay.
Environmental something.
Okay.
And they made so much. I think they've retained it now. You understand? Even in Oshun, is it Oshun, Fayoshe, during stomach infrastructure thing, you know, it became a commission too. Stomach infrastructure. Fayoshe eventually went even in Imo State.
I think Rochas Okorocha
Minister of Joy, happiness. Good, where the daughter was, and it worked. You understand?
But is it work?
How did it work?
Of generating
well, the issue remains that governance is about linking up with the people. You understand?
Okay.
And when it was created, people were happy going there
going there for arms or what?
No, going there for goodies of the democracy. Now in what's the Eno, the governor Eno of Akwa Ibom, right? Yeah. He created what is it called? Saturday enjoyment something. Friday enjoyment something.
So how do you think this bring revenue to the states?
No, look.
We're talking about how to make a state viable.
Yes, but you still talk about how to make the people happy.
So
yes, because democracy is about when you saddle someone to making something happen, he would think critically to bring about the revenues that will satisfy the people. It might not necessarily taking it from the government coffers. It might be in the look, which I'm trying to remember the state that tax the individual at one in Imo State. Is it Achike Odenwa or something? Who built the Imo Airport? How did it happen? Imo Airport was contributed by the people. It was built by the people. It was built by the people. During this democracy, Achike Odenwa or something.
But here we'll be talking about the
how
the
to make the states.
But yet, how many of the people within that state use that airport?
No, that is not the issue. The issue is that
I don't know if you understand.
Yes, the people that were taxed were happy doing it. And what is the gain after that airport was established? What was the gain? It might not be necessarily asking those people to go through that airport and all
but
that.
Mr. Ziggy, yes. A new state will not want to create such commissions of enjoyment or what?
Well, I'm not in their thinking. I'm not in their thinking. But the issue remains that each time a state is forward thinking, the governor has one or two things to look inward and bring out. And that is how so many viable states are being. In Lagos here, now the dump site at Ojota, I've learned they've created another one. Do you remember that dump site was even a menace? It was pandemic at a point. But somebody remembered that there need to be a recycled machine, and it was created. Do you understand? Today, that recycled dump is generating over how many billions? It doesn't matter whether an indigenous is going to man it or not. But travel, find out what your state can do in order to generate money. Because whether you like it or not, the money still comes from the people.
And this, and it's also benefiting the people.
Yes,
so
it comes from the people. The people
thing.
benefit from it. And the moment something is created, even though the people might contribute, and they are beneficiaries of the same issue, of the same gesture, they don't complain. They are happy with it. The airport we are talking about, whether you like it or not, those who contributed were having people who travel through that airport. And they're happy. Today, they are proud that that airport is ours because they contributed.
Okay, right, let me quickly ask you this. Right. Do you think there will be a major obstacle or bottlenecks on the way of creating this state?
Oh, certainly, some people will kick against it. Maybe those who will think it's not beneficiary to them. But it's about what will I gain if it is created? We're in Nigeria. That wouldn't be ruled out. Some people will want to, what do I gain? Let me push against it.
Okay, now, so talking about those who might push against it, it might be for partisan cases, especially when, okay, you come in for the legislation and approval of a new state, whereas you are in the opposition.
Yes.
So would that in some way play out? Because we have Benjamin Kalu, who has been very vocal about, you know, when it comes to
state balancing.
State balancing. So he sponsored it.
Yes.
Okay, so are we likely to have a person like Benjamin Kalu now who might be saying, well, I'm pushing for this thing for the southeastern region, but a state like Abia now is in the opposition. So how would that play out? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Sure. This is political.
Okay.
Okay? It's political. And there might be this issue of come and accept what I introduced. Okay? But then because it is a region, it's a block thing.
Yes.
Not statewide thing.
Yes.
Okay? So Abia State, I don't think they've in the recent past agitated for a state being created out of it. Okay. We are talking about creating a state that will make up balancing. Okay? So wherever it is created from might not matter to a particular state or a state governor now. I don't think so.
I'm talking about those in the red.
But certainly everybody will not accept such creation now. It's not possible. Kanu certainly would Benjamin Kalu certainly would have some stumbling blocks from his colleagues who have their own reasons too. Because in the northern state where you have 19 states, okay, before they were created, there were stumbling. So anything legislative in the red, both red and the
state assembly.
Yes. So certainly there will be those who will be opposing it.
Yes.
Maybe for reasons best known to them, they might not see reasons a sixth state should be created, whereas some other states in the northern region are having it is still 6, but southeast is still the least, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
So they are still in for it.
Quickly because of time. Yes. If this bill is passed and the state is created, do you think they will have they will have a relationship? What kind of relationship do you think we'll be having with the neighboring states where the states are
Why not? You see, I talk about viability. If I were in the sense of those who are pushing this, I would want to create more viable areas like road network. As we speak, if you drive from Enugu to Port Harcourt, it takes you how many hours? The travel hours are high. And not only that, in so many other states.
But unfortunately, these guys will not use the road. So how would they think towards that?
Well, it's unfortunate. But the issue remains that, what about if you had a governor who thinks out of the box, who is forward thinking, who will certainly look inward? Because like I said earlier, every state is viable. Depends what the governor wants to do with the availabilities of the natural resources in his state. Because every state in Nigeria is endowed, both in human and natural resources. Until so many of these governors begin to think out of the box, then create new commissions. Because as we speak, there are limited commissions that oversee all this. And what they do is that because we get money at the center, there might not be need for us to work much as we need to do. But if some states are starved of finance,
yes,
they should look, just like the necessity is the mother of
I guess we're pressed for time. Thank you so much, Mr. Azegibe, for giving us your 2 cents on this very heated topic, talking about state creation. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's the much we'll be sharing with you from our Lagos Network studios. Many thanks for watching. Of course, we'll be shifting over now to our Benin Network studio.
ITV, certainly the best.
Good morning. Thanks for joining me on the news round at this time. I am Philip Omogupo. The 2025 National Youth and Students Convention of the Christ Chosen Church of God International has come to a successful close on Sunday with a special Thanksgiving service held at the church's international headquarters, the new cathedral along the Benin-Asaba Road in Benin City. Deborah Gbefon brings details.
The week-long convention, which began on Wednesday with the theme Quicking for Exploits, brought together thousands of youths and students from various branches and stations of the church across the country. In a sermon during the Thanksgiving service, the spiritual leader of Christ Chosen Church of God International, Senior Apostle Dr. David Unwefe, expressed great joy over the large turnout of young people. He charged parents and the church community to raise their children in righteousness, noting that a morally upright generation is the true foundation for peace and prosperity in the country.
As a child of God, you must always live above board. You must be a person of an impeccable character. Daniel was one of such, and you should be one of them as well, because you are serving a God of righteousness, the God who is able to do all things. And that God told on his word, if you want to see me, your God, let your heart be pure. For blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God.
The National Youth President, Dikin Osama, together with other members of the National Youth Executive, led the congregation in a heartfelt season of thanksgiving to God Almighty for the success of the convention. Over 2,000 youths attended this year's convention, which featured worship sessions, seminars, and various spiritual activities aimed at empowering young Christians for exploits in faith and service. From Benin, Deborah Obefo, ITV News.
Christians have been encouraged to walk in obedience, cultivate the fear of God, and commit themselves to his service for spiritual growth and divine favor. Assistant Pastor of God's Historic Church, Pastor Nelson Efosa, gave the admonition during a sermon in the church Sunday service in GRA, Benin City. Oluwa Pelumi Abioye reports.
Pastor Nelson Idahosa reminded the congregation that obedience to God's word is the foundation of a fulfilling Christian life. He urged believers to revere God in all they do and remain steadfast in serving in his vineyard, saying it is true service that blessings and spiritual maturity are unlocked. He stressed that in times of moral decline, Christians must remain examples of righteousness, noting that the fear of God leads to wise decisions and lasting peace.
How do you obey God that you have not seen? How do you have the fear of God within your life? How do you do his will? How do you do so that you will not fall into the hands of the enemy? How do you obey him? How do you walk in his vineyard? What is obedient? To do what God has asked us not to do. To do what God has asked us to do. To do that thing He has asked us to do, so we will not fall into temptations. When you are obeying God, doing his will, He will guide and protect you.
The choir of God's Historic Church led the congregation in spirit-filled worship during the service. From Benin, Oluwapelumi Abioye, ITV News.
Students have been advised to shun social vices and embrace hard work in their studies in order to achieve success in the future. The president of Edo Boys High School Old Boys Association, class of 85, Professor Job Odion, gave the hint and advice during the 40th anniversary and reunion of the class of 85 held in Benin City. Evosa Wangwe leads us there.
The gathering brought together old boys of the class of 1985 who reunited to share memories, exchange pleasantries, and celebrate 4 decades since having leaving the school. It was a moment of joy and nostalgia as many of them were meeting again for the first time in 40 years. President of the association, Professor Job Odion, said the reunion provided an opportunity to reconnect and chart a new course for the development of the school and the association. The Edo State Commissioner for Energy and Water Resources, Dr. Washington Osifo, urged current students to remain focused and determined in the pursuit of their dreams despite challenges they may encounter.
This our association of old boys in defense came together formally in the year 2020 when we virtually set up a platform for us to integrate and plan towards such activities as we did yesterday and today.
We also use it to encourage the ones that are there today, the young students, that the life ahead is bigger, the vision is bigger, and whatever they dream to be, they can.
Chairman of the local organizing committee, Dr. S.C. Owe, and a member of the association, Dr. Mokao Ogiriaki, expressed their commitment to supporting the continued growth and development of the school. Some former teachers, including Dr. Adoga Peter and Lady Patricia Enebe, commended the old boys for their resilience and achievements over the years.
It's to foster unity, to foster connection, to foster fellowship.
Also able to do something significant
as part of giving back.
These students were wonderful. They were very cooperative.
I'm very happy to join them again after 40 years.
Current students of Edo Boys High School pledge to work hard and remain disciplined in order to become responsible leaders of tomorrow.
To work hard to become more than them, I got to study my book and focus on my education.
Earlier, the old students had participated in a novelty football match and other fun activities on the school premises as part of the grand finale of the celebration. From Benin, Efosa Wangwe, ITV News.
It was an evening of celebration, music and heartfelt tributes as family, friends and dignitaries gathered at the unusual center, JBS Estate, GRA, Benin City, for a social dance held in honor of the late Honorable Justice James Oyoyomire, retired judge of the Edo State High Court. The event formed part of activities lined up to bid farewell to the legal icon, renowned for his integrity and years of meritorious service to the judiciary. Oluwa Pelumi Abioye has details.
Guests from the bench, bar and beyond converged on the beautifully decorated venue to celebrate a life of purpose and impact. Family members, including children and grandchildren, joined the lively dance floor as the Rock Live Band entertained attendees with vibrant music. The atmosphere was warm and joyful, with guests treated to a variety of meals and refreshing drinks. The children of the late Justice James Uyi Oyomire described their father as a man of deep integrity and humility, one whose legacy continues to inspire them.
My father was a great man. He's done everything for his family. For me and my children, my dad has always been there for us.
My dad was a man of integrity, compassionate as well, a philanthropist. He was a man of justice. He loved his children. He wanted his children to excel, and he was willing to make sure they got to the highest level in life.
It's everybody's daddy. He really lived a very exemplary life. It's a story of someone that lives from grass to grace. It's very easygoing, it's fun to be with.
Legal colleagues, associates and friends also paid glowing tribute, describing Justice Oyomire as a man of wisdom, fairness and principle, whose contributions left indelible footprints in the legal community.
The late Honorable Justice J.U. Oyomire had a very distinguished career on the bench. After his military career, we fondly call him Old Soldier. He went into the magistracy and thereafter he was elevated. He was very dogged.
One thing you can't take for him that he will not come late to court. By 9 dots is there. So that discipline was in him. He's a good friend of mine. I will surely miss him.
The social dance was not only a farewell, but also a celebration of the life that touched many beyond the courtroom. From Benin, Oluwapelumi Abioye, ITV News.
Niger State Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management has expressed sadness over the tanker explosion which occurred in the state. Correspondent Umar Mohammed reports that over 40 lives were lost in the explosion while others were injured.
The incident, which occurred on 21st October 2025, involving a tanker laden with petroleum products at Esa community in Kacha local government area, Niger State, spilled its contents while youths in the area in their hundreds rushed to scoop petrol without foreknowledge of the danger. Director, Media and Strategy, Niger State Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Malam Habibu Shishi, in a statement described the incident as a sad development as it consumed the lives of almost 40 youths who were burnt beyond recognition, while others received various degrees of injuries. The incident and loss of lives is the second in the state this year, with the first which occurred in Tafa local government area. Both incidents were attributed to deplorable condition of federal roads in the state. The permanent secretary in the ministry, Barrister Mero Muhammad Man, while commiserating with the people of Esa community in Kachia local government area, called on critical stakeholders in disaster management to increase sensitization and awareness campaign to various communities and the youth groups to desist from scooping petrol from tanker involved in accident to avoid being caught in explosion. However, the Niger State Governor, Umaru Muhammad Bago, has since visited the scene of the incident where he condoled with the people of Esa community in Kacha local government area of Niger State. From Mina, Niger State capital, Umar Mohammed, ITV News.
And that's it on the news round. Thanks for watching. I am Philip Omo Gyupo. Good morning.
ITV, certainly the best.
ITV, certainly the best.
Good morning and welcome. This is TMI Socials and I am Stephanie Notoriwa. And here's what's making wave across social media. First, at first, Regina Daniels makes a bold statement of success as she acquires a luxurious mansion worth billions in Lagos, proudly declaring, "In my house, I am a queen." Let's get to see the video of this mansion. And of course, there have been a lot of comments online, so let's get to see some of these comments. This one said, "After everything, now this content creator, how she fit afford." Let's get to see the next comment. This one said, "She might be silent, but her reactions show she needed something she felt is freedom." Let's get to see the next comment. This one says, "Nowadays, some ladies enter marriage not for love, but for a big-term investment plan. They build quietly, wait until they've gathered enough, then flip the story to make the man the villain before leaving. Society calls it empowerment, but it's manipulation. I fear will not fear women." Let's get to see the last comment as regards this issue. It says, "Sometimes love isn't the scam. It is the strategy behind it. When a relationship is built on hidden intentions and staged affection, one person ends up emotionally invested while the other is financially strategic. I just pray people learn to separate genuine love from romantic manipulations. Moving on, Senator Ned Nwoko of Delta North has sparked debate after saying on national TV that every man should marry more than one wife. Known for his polygamous lifestyle, he compared marriage to balance, joking that standing on one leg is difficult while standing on several legs is more stable. He also said that he would make the same marital choices again and again, describing his preference for young, beautiful women as just the way it should be. Addressing allegations of domestic violence and rumors of crisis with his wife, actress Regina Daniel, Nwoko dismissed them, saying he loves and respects his wives and children. He downplayed the controversy, adding simply, "It happens. Everything is under control." Now let's get to see some of the comments as regards this interview. This one said, Senator is comparing marriage to standing on 4 legs. No wonder the country is crawling. Some people confuse balance with chaos. Let's get to see the next comment. This one says, I was expecting to see where he would tell men that are not financially buoyant like him on how to take care of more than one wife. Let's get to see the next comment. This one says, a man drowning in his own household chaos now thinks he is qualified to give marriage advice. There is nothing noble about polygamy. It is greed and insecurity painted as tradition. No leader promotes what destroys emotional peace and family unity. Senator Ned, you don't represent wisdom. Let's get to see the last comment as regards this issue. This man just standing on business to standing on 4 legs. Ned Nwoko go use analogy finish Bible scholars one day. And lastly, on TMI Social, former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has described some Nigerian internet fraudsters known as Yahoo Boys as talented youth whose creativity and courage could be channeled into tech and entrepreneurship. Speaking at a youth event in Lagos, Obi said the focus should be on redirection, not condemnation. His comments sparked mixed reactions online. Supporters praised his view as a solution to youth empowerment, while critics accused him of executing cybercrime. The debate also drew comparison to President Bola Tinubu's earlier proposal to retain Yahoo Boys for productive ventures. Let's get to see some of the comments as regards this. This one says, they are all attacking Peter Obi for saying Yahoo Boys needs redirection. They forget President Tinubu says he will turn Yahoo Boys into experts in manufacturing. I dare the data boys to condemn their father. You can see it is all hypocrisy. Let's get to see the next comment. This says, calling Yahoo Boys geniuses is dangerous message. There is nothing genius about stealing from innocent people online. Nigerians doesn't need to direct crime. We need to reject it completely. Let's get to see the next comment. It is like saying armed robbers and kidnappers are geniuses who simply need redirection. The effect of stealing from people and deceiving them out of their life investment just so you can party hard is no different from the actions of a kidnapper or an armed robber. Peter Obi is very wrong here. A thief is a thief and a criminal is a criminal. And that's the size of our package on TMI Socials. On behalf of the 3 network centers, we've come to an end of TMI. I am Stephanie Notoriwa. Until next time, stay blessed.